we shall meet again at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, honourable members. Mr. Mlando, you are currently employed in the office of the City Manager of the City of Johannesburg as a Special Projects Advisor.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct? You say that in relation to the matters mainly concerning General Sibiya, that you're going to talk to us about. You became aware of this from whistleblowers, reading documents, analyzing information that you had gathered since you were employed as the executive director. Was that in the city of Nkululweni?
No, it was in the city of Johannesburg.
In the city of Johannesburg itself.
Yes, sir.
From the period of 2018 November to August 2022.
Yes, sir.
And then you rejoined the city on the 1st of July 2023.
Yes, sir.
And you then say in your affidavit that since 12 July 2019 to date, you have been dealing with alleged rogue, clandestine and unlawful activities of the former group head of Group Forensics and Investigation Services, Mr. Sibiya, before they became of national security concern. The Mr. Sibiya you referred to in your affidavit, is that the same General Sibiya?
Yes, it is General Sibiya.
Now in suspension. And then you here because you say you are mentioned in a statement and the evidence of Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, both before the Mlando Commission and before the ad hoc committee. And therefore you're a witness in these proceedings.
Yes, when Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi appeared before the Mlando Commission in paragraph 259 up until to paragraph 266 of his statement, he addresses matters that pertains to me in relation to how I sought to prevent the re-employment of General Sibiya by the South African Police Service. So he deals with that. He records reports that I would have submitted to the Minister of Police. But what he doesn't know, he only records one report, only to the Minister of Police. The same report was also sent to the Minister of Cocta, but there are two reports in all. There's another one of the 29th of July, which is a supplementary report. So, but he doesn't deal with that. So I will then, in my evidence, I'll be dealing with everything that I would have placed before the ministers, for the ministers to act.
Sorry, Honourable Chair. Do you want to address us and just give us some short background to the appointment, or before the appointment of General Sibiya, before he was employed in the current position from which he's been suspended, of course, as Commissioner, Deputy National Commissioner, Crime Detection on 1 July 2022.
Yes. So when I wrote to the ministers, in the main, I wanted to communicate a message that they are about to appoint someone who, in actual fact, should be charged criminally. And I say this because all the evidence that we have here, even long before I write to the ministers, on the 22nd of April, General Sibiya himself had voluntarily placed this evidence in his High Court affidavit. So by the time I write to the ministers on evidence that he himself has placed out there publicly. So what does this evidence then say? And I capture this in paragraph 14 and 15 of my statement. As to the employment of General Sibiya, so the employment of General Sibiya is a simple one. He applies to be a unit head in the city of Johannesburg. And the advert goes out in October 2016. Then the interviews run on the 7th of November, and General Sibiya is appointed on the following day, and he becomes the unit head. That's basically the only appointment letter that General Sibiya has. A unit head in the city of Johannesburg is a director.
Yeah.
All right. So that's happened in 2016 in November. In January 2017, General Sibiya is masquerading as a head of department. In actual fact, there's a report that he signs. In this report, he signs this report as if he's a head of department. Even though he's appointed as a unit head, this report, he signs it through a title that nobody else knows, of a commissioner. So in that report, it says that General Sibiya was appointed now as the head of chiefs. That's a report in January. So in the space of 2 months, you've got someone who comes in January, in November as a unit head. In January, this person is a group head. There is no recruitment process for the second appointment. Nobody knows how General Sibiya becomes a head of department. So when you go to that report, the one that says he is now a head of department.
And who was responsible for that?
For that report.
Really unlawful appointment.
You
You said there was no process that was.
According to the affidavit of General Sibiya, he was appointed through a report that was signed by Mr. Mashaba. So, and when you go to that report, indeed, it have got a signature of Mr. Mashaba. But there's a list of officials.
And Mr. Machapi.
Mr. Mashaba.
Mashlaba.
Mashaba, the former mayor of Johannesburg, Mr. Mashaba.
Oh, Mashlaba.
Yes, Mashaba. So he says that in his own state affidavit before court that he was appointed through a report signed by Mr. Mashaba. If you've been in local government, there's no report of a mayor that can appoint anybody. The mayors don't have appointing powers.
Even executive power.
No, can't appoint
Yes,
officials.
Mr.
There are 2 institutions that appoint, authorities that appoint officials.
Thanks, Commissioner. I
Council,
think
it appoints heads of department.
we're ready to
And
play the
next
video.
one is the city minister. So even if you had wanted to dream that there was an appointment done by Mr. Mashaba, that would have been a bogus appointment.
I'm ready to take the keys to the college on the 4th. So by Monday, if we haven't received anything, we close. We'll have assigned members that are short, and that process of the non-performance by the service provider, that process are already directed that we must start. So
is that this plan to make Shadrach Sibiya a head of department is hashed on the 4th of November, 3 days before he's appointed. A legal opinion is sought to check as to whether, even though he's applying to be a unit head, he's going to be interviewed for a unit position. A legal opinion is being sought as to whether he cannot be made a head of department. And the legal opinion says, no, you can't do that. And that legal opinion is dated the 8th of November 2016, a day after General Sibiya had attended an interview. So it starts there, it gets hashed there. The legal opinion, the nice thing about it, again, it have got the same signatures. The same signatures of the very people who are going to say General Sibiya is an HOD.
Then you take your breath. Take your breath. we are on a donkey cart and you are on a motorbike.
Okay. Sorry, sir.
The chronology that you give us here is very important. Don't be agitated. Just relax. So that we were able to follow
Me
what you
to look for this
are
man
saying.
called to look for this
When was, you say the date of the 4th is the date on which the legal opinion was sought?
Is the 8th, my apologies, Chairperson. Is the 8th.
No, the 8th is the date on which the legal opinion is received.
That's the date that I want to refer to because I would not know when exactly it would have been sought, but it would have been after the 4th.
When did you have sight of, sorry, Chair. When did you have sight of the legal opinion? And was it when you were in the city manager's office?
Yes, during the moment when I was in the city manager's office, remember in my statement I said to you, these things were brought to our attention by various whistleblowers in the city of Johannesburg. And that happens early in 2022, all of these documents and what had transpired here. So that happens early in 2022.
So when you take us back now to 2016 and his appointment then and the legal opinion, that's after you had now fact-checked
Yes.
the whistleblowers allegations that were made in 2022.
Yes, in early in 2022. But remember, I said to you, there's already his affidavit placing these documents, 80% of them on an affidavit at the High Court. So that's what we were dealing with here. So what the chairperson was
And what was that application, the High Court application?
okay.
We
When
know of the one between him and the National Commissioner of Police. It's not that one.
it's not that one.
Yeah.
So what happens is this: once this information was brought to our attention in the office of the city manager, we then ask a firm, a legal firm, to give us a preliminary view. What are they saying from these documents? And that report is called the Sibiya report, and you shall find is annexure MM2. It's on page 2 to page 72.
All right.
It's on page 2 of my affidavit. It's on page,
No, the report itself.
it's on page 31. My apologies. Page 31 to page 72. It's called a document review report. So we took all of this information. We gave it.
For ease of reference, the page numbers that you're going to refer to, especially your annexures.
It's annexures, yes. It's annexure
They're the
MM.
numbers in Koki on the bottom right.
Yes, these annexures that are in Koki pen. So those are numbers in Koki pen. So everything in Koki pen. So on page 31 to page 72, these lawyers give us this. They say, look, and if in this report they say we advise you to launch a full-blown investigation. So they review all of these documents and then they say, we advise you to launch a full-blown investigation because there seems to be prima facie evidence that General Sibiya was fraudulently employed or unlawfully employed. So all that this thing says, do a full-blown investigation.
So was this, I'm looking now at page 72. The recommendations start at page 70.
Yes, Chair.
And for example, then on page 71, 10.1.1, that the purported conversion of Mr. Sibiya's employment and conditions of service be rescinded in terms of the Systems Act, and that his contract of employment be treated as a 5-year fixed term contract as was provided for in the legislation. Then it refers to his substantive position as unit head
Yes,
was made
Chairperson.
redundant in 2017. That an independent investigator be appointed to investigate Mr. Sibiya's appointment as unit head
Yes,
and the
Chairperson.
subsequent irregular and unlawful conversion of
Yes,
his appointment.
yes,
And that the council in 10.2 must take the following actions.
yes,
They must authorize 10.2.1 on page 72.
yes,
City the
Chairperson.
manager to appoint an independent investigator and should place Mr. Sibiya on immediate suspension pending
Yes.
the outcome of such investigation.
Yes,
And then to appoint a senior counsel with experience in the field of intelligence to conduct an investigation
yes,
into matters, and again, should place Mr. Sibiya.
yes.
So these recommendations, the report goes to the speaker, and to members of council, and also that the report be submitted to the public, the then public protector,
Yes,
and to the Inspector General at the time, Mr. Dintwe.
reading on page 31.
So were those actions taken?
That's the point. Is that the moment the report, we hand it over to Mayor Palazzi and to Speaker Dagam. No, they blocked the report from entering council. This is when then it created an opportunity for General Sibiya to launch this High Court application to set aside this report. I mean, how do you go to court and set aside what is clearly legal opinion? So he goes to court, he does that, but here's the benefit. When we were preparing to oppose him,
So it was all contrived.
yes,
He knew that he goes to court, it's not going to be opposed.
yes, so there was already a decision taken behind our backs. Remember, we are the ones who opposed the office of the city manager. Behind our backs that he's not going to be opposed. And that is why in his affidavit, he was honest enough to place all documents about his appointment, even though it's highly questionable and unlawful, because he knew he's going to get an unopposed order. And that's exactly what happened.
And then what do you, at the time, were you aware of this opinion and the recommendations?
Remember this report, this advisory report.
But then, at the time, you weren't aware, or when do you become aware of the?
You mean the advisory report?
Yes.
From Zebedela attorneys.
Yeah.
We commissioned that report because what happened is that once we got all of this information from the whistleblowers, we commissioned to say, advise us how to treat all of these things. But because at that time he knows he's going to be protected, so it gets stopped. It never reached council, and suddenly a high court application comes, decisions are taken, it must not be opposed to save General Sibiya. The point that I'm raising, Chairperson, is that when he came here, the first thing that he told these members of parliament, he says, I was cleared by a court. Doesn't tell you the story.
It was an unopposed application, court application.
He got it unopposed. The lawyers that we had appointed, there's an email that says, do not oppose. So that he comes and come into platforms like this and claim to have been cleared. The nice thing about it is that didn't save him. Because right somewhere in 2023, another report managed to enter council. Why? There was a shift of power early in January. Early in January, there's a shift of power.
In the city of Joburg.
In the city of Joburg.
How many shifts of power?
I don't know how many share,
No,
but I know about that one. So once the shift of power happens, then the administration moved away from the DA to the ANC, as you guys will know, it's public information, Chief Whip, to the ANC. So that is when the opportunity to go to council arises. And the speaker at that time is Speaker Colleen Makubele. So she opens up a space for these things to enter council. And that is why then, once it entered, that investigation that he thought he's going to avoid
Where is Mr. or General Sibiya then?
is gone. He's gone to the South African Police Service at that time because he leaves end of June 2022. He leaves. And then
Was that shortly after he claims he was cleared by a court
exactly.
with his unopposed application?
Exactly. So he leaves. He goes and join the South African police because at that time he had won. I think he had won a case of reinstatement. So he was going to be reinstated as the component head for organized crime, if I still recall. So that's the 1st of July 2022. On this other side, all things are still blocked. Remember, he must be protected. All things are still blocked. But then there was a shift of power, as I say, but that shift of power becomes real in January 2023. And that's when then another report went to the council, and that's what you see on page 30, where council then says, on page 30 in an extra MM1,
30.
page 30,
Yeah.
no, the bold, the cookie pen, let's see. An extra MM1. On the 21st of June 2023, the council then decided that everything that was ever said about General Sibiya must be investigated. And that is why then you see here, there was a committee that was established by council to look into these matters. And that information is also important for the committee, that what I'm saying here is evidence that I've already given before this committee that you see on page 30. Everything that I'm saying here has been given there as evidence. It's public information because this committee was running public hearings. So my affidavit in that committee is there. It have got exactly the same things that I'm saying here.
Now, just pause at page 30. This is the terms of reference of the Special and Independent Investigation Committee.
Yes, sir.
The Speaker notifies the public that on 13th ordinary meeting on Wednesday, 21 June 2023, Council resolved to appoint a Special and Independent Investigation Committee. The committee is appointed to investigate the lawfulness or otherwise of the establishment of the Group Forensic and Investigation Services, as well as allegations of improper and unlawful conduct on the part of GIFS. So no specific mention is made of General Sibiya in these terms of reference.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
if you continue to read, it says the said complaints relate to allegations of fraud, corruption, maladministration, breach of law by GIFIS and others, and in particular to the establishment of GIFIS as a separate unit or department, its inherent powers without approval by the municipal council, and the appointment of the head of GIFIS. So there it is.
Oh, is that the reference to Sibiya?
Yes, without compliance with applicable recruitment process and even his own unlawful investigations that he was conducting. So it's quite a comprehensive scope.
But by now he's already out of the system.
But this is important because council take this decision, Chairperson, on the 21st of June 2023. A week later, General Sibiya is about to be promoted to be the Deputy National Commission. And that's very important for this commission. And he had come here saying, I was appointed and promoted because I was cleared. And I'm demonstrating to you that a week before, a comprehensive investigation is being launched by council. So had General Tsele or General Masemo will have done a proper vetting. They should have just called the city of Johannesburg and say, is there any things that are outstanding about this fellow? Because if you read the letter of appointment of General Sibiya, he must give a certification that is a man of proper conduct. That's what is required of him. There's a certificate that he must file with Masemo. They did not do proper vetting. We would have told them that no, that fellow, as far as I and others are concerned, he's a fugitive from the law. He had not been cleared by the city of Johannesburg. And this is important for two reasons.
Well, it's not quite a fugitive from the law. If these allegations that were found to exist against him are to be believed, then he's not a man or a person of integrity to hold such a high position. And of course, his failure to disclose even the fact that there was such an investigation and that findings were made that his appointment there as group head was unlawful or irregular. He didn't make those disclosures.
No, he would not have, because he has told you here that as far as is concerned, he was cleared. Sorry?
He was cleared in court.
He said, when he appeared before, he said three things. He said, I was cleared by the court, I was cleared by the public protector, I was cleared by the SSA. And I've demonstrated to you in respect of one, or the fourth one was that he said he was cleared by the NPA. I've demonstrated in respect of the court one too, that it was an unopposed order. Favor was done. I will say to you, without even hearing it from me, there's a letter of the public protector, I think it was read here, by Honorable Shongwe. The public protector says, no, I didn't know about the allegations of fraud around you. Did not investigate that. So the public protector can't clear you on something that she never investigated. She said, evidence was concealed from me. There's a letter in this record, and I will refer to it at some stage. So we know that the public protector did not clear him because evidence of his malfeasance in respect of his appointment and corruption was never placed for the public protector.
And you had brought this to the attention of the then Minister of Police, was that General Kele. Go to MM9. MM9 on page 114.
114.
Yeah. This is I'm not sure whether it's Mr. or Mrs. or what the title, but Pokani, Phokane, and Pokani is writing back to you. Good day,
Council, where are you?
On page 114, annexure MM9.
114. So, if with your indulgence, Chairperson, we may want to start on page 88. That's where my report is to General Bekicele. It's on page 88. So you would see the heading. I'm not going to bother you with the heading at this stage, but what it does, it talks about the very things. Now, this report is dated 20 June 2022. Council at this stage still blocked because the...
Okay, so, letter, or it's on a Joburg, 20 June, it's on page 88.
Yes.
And
if you go on page 90, it's the same letter to the Minister of Cocta. So I'm writing to two ministers about this, the one of local government and the one where Sibiya is living.
MM6 is to the Cocta Minister, yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
to the minister where he is going. And then on page 92, MM7.
And the annexure that I refer to, MM9 on 114, that is where your letter, it should be of June, not one, or it says 1 August.
Yeah, let me assist to council.
Acknowledged by the minister.
Let me assist to council. On page 92, it's MM7. So when I wrote to the ministers, I would have attached the entire report about the conduct of Sibiya it's on page 92. Right.
That is to the speaker
Yes. So it's
and to the public protector.
it's a report that the speaker was blocking from entering council. So it would have been my report that I started internally before I go external. So I attached that report to say I've already satisfied the internal process. Then if you go on page 106, it's MM8. I then supplement my report, both to the Minister of Police and the Minister of Copter. So I supplement because at this time, we have become aware that not only this General Sibiya is fraudulently employed, we've discovered that he has also bought a spyware. And there's a letter of the SSA that gives the name to this spyware at this time. And I'll take you to that letter at some stage. So,
What page is that, the reference to the spyware of this annexure?
it's on page 106,
Yeah.
where annexure MM8.
Yeah, I'm on page 106.
Yes, if you read the heading of the report, it says that a supplementary report to request action to be taken regarding the evidence of state security agents, which implicates the then fraudulently employed head of JFIS on crime intelligence related offenses. So this is where we discover that in 2019, he has been owning, since April 2019, he's been owning a spyware. And so I then supplement my report, right? And that report goes on up until to page 113. Now, I'm in the annexure where you were. So, page 114 is annexure MM9. Now you've got the minister's office. The only minister who responded to me is Minister Cel, and this is very material for this committee. He was here. What did he say? He said, I don't know who this Mesuli is. Who? Mesuli? Who? Mlando? I don't know that person. 2, I've never received any report from Mlando. And 3, who the hell he think he is that he can write to the minister? Those are the 3 things that he said here. Now, if you read,
You're quoting him.
who does he think he
Language
is?
Strong, although we sometimes use even stronger language.
Yes, who does he think he is? Can he write to the minister? And I just want to read the email to place him before you, that this is the email from the chief of staff. The chief of staff is M. Pokane, and it is dated the 4th of August, 2022. So M. Pokane,
Where are you now? Which page?
on page 114,
Oh, sorry.
on page 114.
Oh, Pokani.
So if you look at the heading of the email, it talks about my supplementary report. He says, and you look at it, it's addressed to so many people, not just me, even there's a TPSI, I don't know who are those people there. He says, good day, Mr. Mlando. Your below email dated 1 August with the above subject matter and attached report is hereby well acknowledged by the Office of the Minister of Police. The contents of the report has been brought, not will be brought, has been brought to the attention of the minister, and the necessary feedback shall be submitted in due course. I trust the above is well in order. Here is a former national minister appearing on a platform that is as serious as this, ridiculing me, ridiculing my efforts to fight fraud and corruption, speaking as if I am nothing. He did not know that I've got an email sitting somewhere that I will introduce before this committee from his own office. And I will request that this committee pay attention to this. You can't afford to have such a senior figure in our public service coming here to tell lies. And if this committee is going to be a place where people can just come and speak and say things, ridicule executives. I mean, I was an executive in the city. I was not a junior official. In actual fact, I was an executive. He said here, he knew the chief of police and all of those people. A chief of police in the city of Johannesburg is junior to me. He knew my juniors, but he was busy here ridiculing me as if I'm junior. So all I'm saying to you is that here's the email. His office says my reports were brought to his attention. So I reported these things to both Minister Tele and Minister Ngadimik, and both of them never acted.
Yeah.
So by the time, because it's still August 2022, there's going to be a promotion of Sibiya in July, of General Sibiya in July 2023. So they knew about this. They knew about it. Thanks, Chair.
So, do you summarize the what you call the incriminating evidence against General Sibiya, where you reference 3.5 million rand of fraud, 7.9 million rand of crime intelligence, and 580 million of corruption relating to other offences?
Yes.
And you say that is substantiated.
Yes.
Or was that disclosed by him in his own affidavit in the High Court?
No. What General Sibiya tells us places all records of his appointment, and I think it's only fair, Chairperson, that at least I point you to these records so that we've got the same understanding as me. So what I will do, I'm just going to point you quickly to the appointment letter of General Sibiya so that you can see where he's appointed as a unit head. Then I'm going to jump and go to a report of 4th of November, the legal opinion. In this report, this bogus report, that makes him a head of department. Can I just do that quickly?
Yes.
All right. The on annex in annex MM18, it's on page 217. 217. So we're just going to note these documents so that I don't detain you longer than is usual. What you have in annexure MM18 on page 217,
Yeah.
you've got an appointment letter of General Shadrack Sibiya.
But sorry,
Page
the
217,
got three.
217,
There's 3 bundles. Yeah. Yes, Mr. Nadu.
yes, 217
Yes.
is the appointment letter of Mr. Sibiya. It's dated the 8th of November 2016. So all of us now, we know he's appointed as a unit head. So in the city of Johannesburg, that will be a director, and it's going to earn the amount that appears there. I don't want to expose the general. But this document, again, was placed by him. It's publicly available in his court papers. So it's dated the 8th. Then if you go on page 218, it's signed by the previous city manager of the city of Johannesburg, Comrade Fowler. Then on page 219, is signed by General Sibiya accepting the appointment.
Yeah.
So this is the only appointment letter that we have in the city of Johannesburg. It's in November. This is the only appointment letter that you are going to find in the court papers of Mr. Sibiya. So now we know. Then I want us to go. So in page 217, if you look at the department that is appointed as a unit head 4 is called the Group Risk and Assurance Services. So he's going to be the unit head for Group Security and Investigation in the Group Risk and Assurance Services.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the department. Whilst this was happening, before this appointment, before this appointment, so the advert had gone out in October. Before this appointment, a decision is taken that actually that section of the investigation in the Group Risk and Assurance Department will be taken out and a new department will be formed. That is being done on the 4th of November 2016. So I will take you to that report. It's on MM20 on page 227. On page 227, MM20. So they decide to restructure a new department called the Group Forensic and Investigation Services. We know that his appointment letter says he's appointed at JIRAS. But on the 4th, there's a new department that has been formed. Now, this report, if we go forward with me, so that we can see the signatures on this report, you shall find the signatures on page 232.
232.
232. So these are the signatures that includes the signature of Mr. Mashab. So they are restructuring on the 4th of November a new department. And that department is going to be called GFIS. If you can just indulge me a little bit on page 229 so that I can make this distinction, because this report is material to my evidence. On page 229 of that report, I'm reading on paragraph 3.5 and the subheading there, the heading says summary of the changes and material changes proposed. So that's paragraph 3.5. I'm only interested in C, paragraph 3.5C. It says, the good practice for this type of position. Now we know that's a position as a head of GFIS. Mr. Sibiya is appointed as a unit head in JIRAS. It says, C, the good practice for this type of position is that the contract of the incumbent is not renewed on the expiry to ensure continued independence of the function. Hence, the incumbent to be appointed on a 5-year fixed term contracts. So we know that whoever is going to be the head of this department shall be appointed on a fixed term contract. I want you to go on paragraph 3.7, where a distinction is being made. And I'm reading the first bullet. It says, the recruitment of the unit head. This is where General Sibiya is. It says, the recruitment of the unit head for group security and investigations and Deputy Director Fraud and Investigation is currently in progress. So you can have a sense that there's going to be a head of the department who's going to be on a 5-year fixed term contract. But there's an acknowledgement that we have already advertised the unit head position. So this report is very important because this is where the confusion comes. You would think later that General Sibiya is appointed to be the head of this department. No, that's what this report makes as a distinction. So that's the second document I want to place before you. And then the third document that I want to place before you is an MM21. So we know that his position is different from the position of the head. The head shall be on a 5-year contract. His position is advertised as a permanent position, and it's been recognized here that it shall be a unit head in this new department. If we then go to MM21.
But whose responsibility is this now legally? He's applied for a job. He gets appointed to the job, a job that appears to have also now been redesigned, refashioned, restructured. But is that any fault of his? Is he involved, or are you alleging some kind of a conspiracy between him and the decision makers?
Yeah, just indulge me a little bit.
Is this a purely legal technical point?
No, just indulge me a little bit. I'm going to the legal opinion because I need to establish for you on the document that are placed by him. So on the legal opinion. So what then happens when he's about to start as a unit head? That's MM21 on page 233. A legal opinion is sought. Page 233. a legal opinion is sought. And this legal opinion is provided by the legal department of the city of Johannesburg. And again, it runs from page 223 to page 237. I wanted to go to page 237. You must again see that the legal opinion is signed by the city manager, the head of legal, and again, Mr. Marshall. All right? Now, I want to draw your attention to this legal opinion on page 234. On page 234, and that will answer your question, Council. And under the application of Section 56 of the Systems Act, Section 56 of the Systems Act is a section that regulates the appointments of heads of departments. So now they are clarifying, they say the role in its current form, which is the unit head role in its current form, is not a senior manager. And thus, Section 56 and the regulations applicable to senior managers is not applicable, and they're correct. It's a unit head, and the other one is going to be the fixed term contract. And then they say, however, in the event that this role reports directly to the city manager, then Section 56 will apply if the candidate is appointed into this role at this time. It may mean that the city would have to retrench the incumbent. If you appoint him now, you may want to retrench the incumbent by virtue of the current position becoming redundant. He would have to reapply for the role in accordance with the requirements of Section 56 and the relevant regulations. There would be no guarantee of his suitability for the role as a Section 56. It must be borne in mind that the duty to consult the employee who could be affected by the restructure kicks in as soon as the employer contemplates the restructure, which could potentially lead to the incumbency suicide. So this is the legal opinion. So you begin to see here, the legal department advises everybody else that if you want, it's the 8th of November, if you want this fellow to be the head of department, then the certain things must happen. You will have to re-advertise. He will have to apply. But if you allow him to remain as a unit head, there's no problem. That's what this legal opinion says. And you can see that that legal opinion was signed for by Mr. Mashaba. So everybody else accepted the legal opinion. I want to draw your attention to the next document. Then I'm going to go to the last report. Then we are done on the subject.
We need to conclude, yeah.
Yes. So the next, on page 238, MM22. On page 238 is the competency assessment of Mr. Sibiya for the position that he would have applied for. I know that Honorable Songwe went into this document. I'm not going to bother you about it, and we know the answers. This is dated the 22nd of November. Remember, the appointment of letter of General Sibiya is dated what? The 8th. This fellow was appointed before a competency assessment was concluded, and he failed it. So what should have happened is that his appointment should have been reversed because he did not fulfill, he did not pass the competency requirements. In actual fact, there ought not to have been an appointment without knowing if he's competent or not. So that is one last, I'm going to just go to the last report, the one that now suddenly in January, he becomes a head of department. So you've got a fellow who failed a competency assessment for a junior position only in November. They've been told by a legal opinion, you can't make him an HOD, he must apply. And then there's a report of 4th of November that tells him, for this position, it's going to be a contractual position. It's not the same as his position. Now, let's go to the report of January 2017. It's on page 220, it's annexure MM19. Page 220, annexure MM19. So, I'm answering your question, Council. Now, with that background in mind, with everybody else knowing You cannot make this fellow an HOD. In actual fact, he ought not to have been a unit 8 in the very first place. So here's the report. This report now, it updates the report of the 4th. You remember there was a restructuring. So this report is an updated report of the report of the 4th of November. What I want to draw your attention about this report under introduction on page 220, under introduction. I'm reading the first paragraph under introduction, right? It says, I want to read the entire paragraph if you can. The structure of JIRAS was approved by the mayor in August 2013. Further changes were made to the structure to move the security investigation functions.
Maybe a bit too close to the microphone there.
Sorry?
Okay.
So I'm reading the first paragraph under introduction, because this is how Sibiya becomes the head of department. It becomes a head of department by declaration. Somebody just declares head of department, it becomes one. So he says, this report says, so it gives a history of this restructuring. It says further changes were made to the structure to move the security and investigation function to report to the group internal audit on the 5. A decision was made to establish this unit as a separate business unit, which was approved on the 4th of November. We've been to the report of the 4th of November. Read the next sentence.